It has been 2 months since I was made redundant from my job. So let's make a dress. Hi everyone, welcome in. My name is Abby, and this is my little chaos corner of the internet, I guess. I was made redundant from my job 2 months ago, and instead of sitting around doing this all day, I decided that I really wanted to up my sewing game. So today we're going to be sewing a dress, but not just any dress, a wedding guest dress, which is a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but hey, we're gonna give it a go. The pattern I'm going to be using is this one, the Butterick B6682. Now, slight side note, I'm not the biggest fan of polka dots. If you like polka dots, that's absolutely fine. But why do they use like the weirdest fabrics for the mock-ups, for the packaging? I'll never know. They always use like the weirdest fabrics. I don't know. But that's the pattern we're going to be using. And the fabric that we're going to be using is this beautiful baby blue Duchess satin that I got a couple of years ago from an online shop who were doing a big clearance sale. So I got it for a really good price. This has been sat in my stash for probably 2 years. So I'm really, really happy that I'm finally getting to use it. So yeah, let's get cutting out. Fabric. Woo! And yes, I have moved downstairs because it is hot today. It is 30 degrees, which if you live in England, you'll know is we're not meant for this kind of heat at all. Right, so I think I'm going to start by cutting out the skirt because that requires the most amount of meters. So then I can see how much I've got left for the top. Yeah, that works, right? Yeah, that works. I have got 6 meters of this fabric, so that should be more than enough to do the skirt, the top, and then maybe a jacket if I have time before the wedding that I want to go to that I'm making this for. So let's start there. I have my handy dandy circle skirt template that I did for a previous skirt that I made this year, so I'm going to use this for the skirt bit. The original pattern has a gathered skirt, but I'm not the biggest fan of gathered skirts on these, so we're gonna do the classic, the circle skirt. So yeah, let's cut that out first, and then we'll see how we're going. So you're probably asking, Abby, why are you crawling around on the floor cutting out fabric instead of looking for a job? And that's a very good question. And honestly, the reason why I'm doing this is to try and keep as sane as I can, pretty much. When you're looking for jobs, when you're unemployed, it can get a little bit demoralizing very quickly, especially when you're not hearing back from anybody that you're applying to. And I think that's where hobbies are so important, because otherwise I would be spending 8-9 hours a day just trying to look for jobs, which is not sustainable, especially over the long term, as I've found out over the past couple of months. So spending a day or 2 a week just focusing on the things that I love and the things I find passionate has really helped my mental health over the past couple of months and keeping me sane while I'm trying to find something full-time again. I've had to put my hair up because it is so hot today. Why am I cutting out fabric on one of the hottest days of the year? I don't know, but we're doing it. One of the reasons why I come back to sewing over and over again, especially when I'm feeling particularly stressed, is I feel like it occupies the most of my mind when I'm doing it. Like when I'm cutting out fabric, all I have to focus on is measuring things and cutting things. And same when I'm constructing something or when I am sewing something at the machine, or if I'm trying to work out why something isn't fitting properly, it means that my brain literally has no space to think about anything else. And as somebody who is a chronic overthinker, that's why I love it so much. And that's why I encourage other people to try and pick up hobbies, even if it's something as small as crocheting or knitting, or even just doing like a puzzle or Sudoku or anything like that. One, it gives you something other than just work and general life stuff to think about, but it also gives you a sense of accomplishment outside of what you do for work, or if you stay at home and you have kids. It gives you something for you, and it's something to occupy your mind with, to de-stress, especially when the world, especially at the moment, is so stressful. It's a way to escape and a way for your mind to process what's going on in the world at the moment so that you can cope with it. Yes, I'm not exactly saving lives here by sewing a dress to go to a wedding, but if this is how I need to cope, especially right now with what's going on in my life, what's going on in the world, then I think it's a perfectly valid way to deal with things, especially when it is something constructive and something creative and something where I actually get a garment to wear at the end of it and I get to feel good about myself, even if it's for, a day or so. So yeah, if you're someone who doesn't really have any hobbies, maybe that's something to look into. You don't have to make clothes at all. I know plenty of people who make little soft toys or bags or doorstops. It's, you really can make anything you want with sewing. You don't have to make clothes if you don't want to. It's such a versatile hobby depending on what you want to do with it. And yes, I do know that I kind of sound like a salesperson at the moment, like, hey, pick up sewing, it's great. But genuinely, I think people need to have hobbies, and I'm so glad that hobbies are almost coming back into fashion, especially a lot of the hobbies that we might call grandma hobbies, like sewing, crochet, knitting, gardening, that kind of stuff. And yes, I do all of those things. So yeah, I would encourage anybody to pick up a hobby, even if it's a little hobby, because I find them really helpful. So that's skirt panel number 1. Cut out. What? And it has the spinach. Woo! So yeah, I'm going to cut the next panel out and then we can move on to the top part, which I can cut out on a table, thankfully, and not on the floor. So I have both of the skirt panels now cut out. I'm going to take a break, get some food, fuel up, and then I will come back and start cutting out the top part of the dress.
Hello, voiceover Abby here. I didn't realise my microphone had died, so here's me having a good discussion about AI and its impact on the creative industry while cutting out the bodice part of the dress. I cut this out single layered, which did take forever, but cutting out double layered meant the satin was sliding around too much on my very small coffee table.
Right, so all of the top pattern pieces are cut out. Skirt and pattern pieces are cut out as well. So we're going to start sewing, yay! But first I'm gonna tidy up because yeah, my living room's kind of a bomb site at the moment. So yeah, first thing, tidy up. Second thing, we're gonna start on the actual sewing bit.
The next day.
Hello. It is day 2. Yes, I did not come back to this after lunch yesterday because I was slowly melting because it is so hot. So this is our progress after yesterday. Obviously, it's only very roughly pinned to my dress form. It's not sewn in any way, but look how good it looks already. I love how this fabric is looking. It looks so good. I'm going to look like a vintage Cinderella. And yes, I am drinking a cup of tea, even though it's still hot, because I still need caffeine to get through the day. So, game plan for today. I want to get the top sewn before it turns into an oven in here this morning. So that's first on the agenda. If we get to the skirt, then that's great, but I'm not planning on getting that far today. So let's get sewing. Okay, so looking at my handy dandy instructions, because despite making a mock-up, I have the memory of a goldfish. So looking at the instructions, we're going to do the pleats along the top first. We're going to gather a bit of the bust, and then we can start construction. So that's the plan. Let's do it. Okay, so the pleats are done. Yes, I need to press them. That is next on my agenda. But I am now going to gather the bottom of the bust so we can start putting all the pieces together. So, woohoo! I think one of the things that has surprised me the most about the past couple of months is just how emotional this whole process has been. It feels like I've gone through the 5 stages of grief about 60 times, which I wasn't really expecting. Because yes, even though redundancy sucks and it literally came out of nowhere, I didn't think I would be that sad to leave the company that I was in. But also, in juxtaposition to that, the emotion I was kind of left with after all of this was relief, which again was quite surprising. But thinking about it, it also wasn't that surprising, really. I hadn't been very happy at my job for quite a while, and using this almost as an opportunity to go out and find something that I really wanted to do again, that was a lot more creative, that was something that I was a bit more passionate about than what my job had become at the previous place I worked. And in some ways I kind of felt a little bit guilty for feeling so relieved, because, you know, it has been stressful, not just for me, but for my husband as well, having one half of your partnership not working and not bringing in an income, especially in the economy at the moment, is stressful. And that's kind of why I felt a little bit guilty about feeling relieved at being forcibly ejected from my job. So here I've done the gathering stitches along the bottom and the pleats along the top, so I can start adding the bias binding. I'm only going to do the binding on the front of the neckline to start with, and I also added a few stitches at the bottom to hold the 2 pieces together while I attach the waistband to make sure the centre fronts stay lined up with each other. Okay, so this is the progress on the top. It's looking so good, I'm so happy. So I have put the pleats in, I've done the bias binding around the neckline, I've attached the front waistband part, and I've French seamed it as well, just because this fabric is very, very shady. Starting to worry a little bit about the fit. I just put it on around like over my clothes, and it is going to be a little bit tight, but I think it should be okay. Fingers crossed. So now we're going to put the back pieces on, and I'm going to tack the zipper in as well, just to make sure it does fit. Otherwise, I'm going to have to cut out the whole bodice again, which is fine because I've got more than enough fabric to do that. But keep your fingers crossed that this is going to fit. The top is on. It's done. It fits. It is a teeny bit tight, but I am wearing it over, obviously, a dress. But there's still like a little bit of give in there. So we'll see once I get the skirt on how I feel about it then. But I might end up putting maybe just a little strip of fabric in the back just to, you know, give me a little bit of breathing room because it is just maybe a touch too tight. And I think maybe I did the side seams just a little bit too big, but it's all fine. It fits. It's on. It definitely needs a press. But yeah, I'm loving how this is looking so far. Please ignore the fact that it's obviously on over my dress. So I think we're going to leave it there for this video. Come back for part 2 where we're going to do the skirt, the pockets, and the horsehair braid on the hem, which is going to be very interesting on a circle skirt. So yeah, come back for part 2 to see all of that and the finished product. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Almost 30-year-old woman screaming on her sofa. As you do. Don't look at my butt. Get up.